Hello viewers, we got something pretty exciting today, I think. This is Endless Legend, of course, but today we've got a preview of the current closed beta stage of the new expansion, Shifters, Endless Legend Shifters. So we'll be playing as the new faction introduced in Shifters, the Allayi. Allayi, I think. Allayi. I got the okay from Amplitude to film this and show it to you, with the caveat that there are some visual elements missing. It's still a very early stage. In particular, the Allayi are missing they're missing their video intro. They're missing some of the visuals for the early parts of the faction quest, I noticed. So keep that in mind. Not everything in this video looks like what the finished product of the expansion is going to look like, but as far as I know, all the mechanics are in, and there's a lot of really cool stuff. This is not my first look at it. I played a couple of turns earlier, but let's just jump right in here. So the Allayi have shifting. Each of their units has a light and a dark form, and the light forms tend to be a little bit more on the defensive side. Can we see the there's no way for us to view the unit capacities just yet. But basically the dark form of the unit is faster and more aggressive, and they change form based on the seasons. So in the summer they're in their light form, and in the winter they're in their dark form. More aggressive, better fighters, faster movement during the winter. Battlefield Symbiosis gives you additional initiative the more morale you have. Breath of Auriga reduces the margin of error for the season change to 0. You always know exactly how many turns until winter and exactly how many turns until summer comes back. Particularly important given the fact that your units change form. Here you can see diplomatic declarations cost less during the winter. Declarations being things like, I'm closing my borders to you, or let's go, or we're going to war, that sort of stuff. And minus influence cost on diplomatic treaties during the summer. So they're diplomats during the summer and warmongers during the winter, sort of. Pearl sensitive, it's easier for them to find pearls of Auriga. You can see the locations of pearls on any tile that you've explored. They appear on the map as a symbol, even if you don't have vision of the space. And also you can find pearls in ruins. Pearls of Auriga are a new resource. They appear on the map during the winter, and then they just sit there until somebody collects them. And they're used to build the new Temple of Auriga, which gives you access to some pretty cool features, and we'll see those in the game, because we're going to build our temple real early. And We Chosen Few, this is important, plus 150% expansion disapproval, plus 100% growth required per population birth. So, close-knit and insular. They have fewer offspring and prefer to keep them close to home. It's going to be very difficult for us to expand. We need to be very careful about our happiness. We can't just kind of sprawl out. They also have this unique technology in Era 2. You gain 20% duration when activating a luxury booster for each other active luxury booster, which means that we actually want to stagger setting off our boosters. If we set off a bunch of boosters on the same turn, they'll naturally become staggered, because the first one will get 20% extra duration, and the second one will get 20% extra duration, and the third one will get 40%. So no matter what we do, they'll become staggered. But once they're staggered, each of them will benefit from all of the others. And basically, it just means that you can support an empire on fewer luxuries, which will be good since we can't expand so much, I guess. They have some unique units. We'll see these when we get in play. They have their main quest. They have this, the Garth of the Allayi, is what they have instead of Burrow Streets. You expand your cities with the Garth of the Allayi. You can see they have the standard plus 15. The standard gains minus approval plus other resources for expansion. Plus food on the city tile instead of minus food, which I believe the other boroughs have. But you can see that upgrading a Garth gives you a lot of extra bonuses. The other factions don't get extra dust and science and influence per level so easily. They have to get buildings to do that kind of stuff. So it's cool to get your cities expanded with these guys. Also available every population instead of every 2 population. And they start with the shipyard researched, which is really interesting. The game I played a little bit of earlier, it actually started me on an island that only had 2 regions on it, and I would have been real boned, expansion-wise, and as such, surviving the game-wise, if I hadn't started with the shipyard. So I suspect that there may be a bias towards starting on an island, which is would be neat. We're going to go ahead and play these guys. Obviously, pretty much the same settings as the last game I did in the normal Let's Play. I bumped the difficulty up to Serious because Serious may still be too low. I used to play on Impossible, but that was back when I had played a lot of games in a row and I was a lot better. I'll tell you what they do already have is a sweet loading screen implemented. So in the background here you can see the Skyfin. Is one of the unique units. We'll acquire one very early. The very first step of the faction quest gives you one, and they are super cool, really unique. Not great fighters, it seems like, but they have other value. I'm really excited about this. I love this game, and I'm super stoked about getting to try out the new expansion ahead of time. Alright, we got a Draken player in the game. A big surprise there. So, the starting units, the Seeker, you'll notice has a base speed of 6. So if you separate off your Seekers, you can cover a lot of ground very quickly. I also want to mention, let's pop this guy open right here. A lot of these units have kind of neat abilities. The Shifting Nova. This is a ranged unit. The hero, when he attacks, he heals friendly units that are adjacent to him, kind of the same way as the Eyeless, their unit, the Caricature, I think it's called, in light form. And then in dark form, when he deals damage to a target, he rains extra damage on all of the enemies that are adjacent to the target, like the Ardent Mage's units do. So that's pretty cool. Actually, while we're looking at his things, I can show you what Shifter Nature actually does. So yeah, when you're in light form, you have plus 20% defense, plus 10% health regen while you're in friendly territory. When you're dark form, plus 20% attack, immunity to the normal movement and vision reductions from winter, and then on top of that, plus vision and plus movement. So you have several stages of movement and vision over everybody else's units who are horribly crippled in winter. And then he's got Army Health Boost, which is whatever, Sharp Sense, which is a pretty good skill, Point Blank Power, which mostly serves to negate the attack loss from morale, and maybe we'll talk about morale in more detail in a while. He does have Food Boost 1, which is not terribly compelling as far as Governor skills go. And then his faction stuff. The first skill makes the army completely ignore movement penalties from the terrain, which is great. He gets bribe cost reduction, increased ability to find pearls, and plus bonus XP for finding pearls. This is a really neat skill. When it's full, when it's at both, when you have both ranks, when it's at max ranks, your army doesn't lose any health when retreating. I don't really know how to abuse this yet, but it must be abusable. That is such a neat ability. Minus building pearl cost reduction, that's fine. And then adds the Killer Instinct capacity, where you get attack extra, a plus X% attack, where X is the percentage of life that the target is missing. So really, their faction abilities really make them want to be army commanders rather than governors, I think. And then obviously this hero is ranged as well, so that we know that the range tree strongly incentivizes army command. Search this ruin with him real quick. 5 titanium, 2 pearls. Pearls are good. We like pearls. The Bifforge. Among the strange and wondrous things you have discovered while traversing Auriga is this new oddity. The Aeaean Bifforge. Creation of the Endless. It seems to have been constructed to allow the simultaneous smithing of 2 different strategic resources. While the idea is not overly complex, it is clear that you will require the aid of delvers to efficiently exploit the forge without continually cracking your head on the unusually low exhaust fan. So we have to have a delvers unit in our army and 10 titanium and 10 glass steel. We come back with that and we get Valiant Lightning, which is a totally sweet crossbow, which is totally relevant to the our ranged hero. So we'll have to keep our eye out for delvers. I mean, if we don't find a... Never mind. I was about to say, if we don't find a delver village, then we're just going to have to let that rest by the wayside. But, hey look, delvers. We'll send our other seeker out in a different direction. Just trying to map out as much of this starting region as possible. So we have an anomaly here that gives plus science. And a little bit of bonus dust. You can see it's a gassy marsh. Okay, and an anomaly here that gives us a bunch of extra food and industry. What I'm really looking for when I'm starting a new city is food and industry, so I think right here might be the winner. Unfortunately, can't get there till next turn. So you can see down here, they've added a pearl counter. Once we've once we've built our altar of Auriga, we can put those pearls to use. Before I go settling, I just want to head over here and make sure. Alright, some Silix. Slow-moving elementals, heavily affected by dust. You know, crystal people. If you played Dungeon of the Endless, you might recognize these guys because there are Silic enemies in that game that can sometimes be a real pain in the ass. What a strangely dark little tile. It's like just a single tile swamp in the middle of all this other area. It's a little bit like the Swamp of Sorrows. I feel comfortable with this. I feel like this is the right place to put our city down. We're going to finish moving our hero over here and searching ruins. Wow. Nothing twice in a row. That's unfortunate. And keep in mind, we're separating our... Ooh. Well, we found the resources to start in right away on the first legendary building. I don't know that that's really a great idea, but it's something to keep in mind. It's an option that we have. The first legendary building is good, but it's not the total blowout that that the second legendary building is. While we're talking about legendaries, let's go ahead and have a look. We have to pick a research anyway. I'm going to research Language Square first. I always want to get as many quests as possible in the early game because some quests are either very easy to complete or will complete all by themselves. You know, if you get an early quest to have no enemy armies in a region in 5 turns, that will often complete without you doing anything at all. And then you just get some free resources. And today's legendaries are: be the first to activate 4 luxury resource boosters in order to get 130 wine. Wine gives a tremendous approval boost. This is pretty good. I like this a lot. Be the first to destroy 10 armies to gain the tactical training technology, which gives your units plus 15% initiative. Totally fine. And then, of course, the legendary building does not change from game to game. The legendary building in the first era is the Museum of Auriga, which gives plus approval and gives extra dust and science in the city that it's built in when the Empire is happy. Alright. We're going to make our Founders Memorial because it's effective. It's efficient, it's powerful, it's just really good. Alright. When Auriga brings forth her fruit in winter, it will be a sign that once again our time has come. The Epistle, page 4. So the burden and the glory fall to me. We have taken the return of the Guardians as a signal. From the forests and the mountains we come together to rebuild our culture. In my hands sit the waxed and oiled leather pouch, black with age, that contains the Epistle of Vros Greyspire and the Euchologian, the ways of prayer. Through all the silent years we have guarded these scrolls, handing them down from father to son, waiting for the moment when we could once again serve our role as sentinels of Mother Auriga. We are together except for the flying skyfin, a symbol of our power and freedom. With its strength we can reclaim our place by her side. These pearls, the winter fruit of the Epistle, signal our resurgence. We will harvest them and use them to build an altar to Auriga. As we do her bidding, we will grow our own strength. So, our people, it sounds like the Allayi have been on Auriga a lot longer than a lot of the races. Maybe we're even here concurrently with the Endless. It may be the case that pushing through this faction quest will give us more information on that. So, we need pearls. So we have to search the indicated ruins to gain control over a skyfin, free skyfin. I think it's going to be 2 turns of movement from our hero. We're going to keep fanning out our other units in other directions, because again, we're trying to find, first of all, lots of minor factions to communicate, lots of ruins to search. But also, we're looking for really fertile locations for a second city. You know, we have to be careful with our expansion, but we still do want to do some expanding. This is a heck of a group of anomalies here. A city founded right here would be like in the money. This is a very dense region, anomaly dense, I should say. We've got these lovely northern loams, just a ton of free food. It's hard to see them. It's hard to see it now, but it looks like this over here. The meteor fields. Lots of extra production. Or industry. I always say production. And then, of course, geysers. Geysers of hot science and industry. Then we have the igloo larvae here, which are some kind of... these are like shells used by some kind of great worm, I suppose. Yeah, this region looks pretty ripe for our second settle. Oh, and meeting the neighbors early is also nice. So the Ardent Mages are but they're science focused. They have, as we saw in the last game, their faction skills on their heroes really promote science output. No, they do not want to fight you. You overly aggressive weirdo. Oh hey. Hey, look at that. Free stuff, maybe. Indeed, 10 spices and a pearl. Like I said, I played a little bit, so I know that the second step of our faction quest is going to be construction of the Temple of Auriga, which is going to require pearls. Alright. So now we have to build the altar. Yeah, like I said, you'll need to gather enough pearls by searching ruins or collecting them when the dark season brings them to the surface. Also, we received 2 pearls for that, and we got our skyfin. The skyfin is weird. So first of all, the first thing that we need to know about the skyfin is that it has the solitary capacity. That means that it cannot be made into an army with another unit. It also has the Auriga Affinity 2 capacity, which means that it is more efficient at gathering pearls. When it runs over a pearl deposit, it gets more pearls out of the deposit. So we do want to do quite a lot of scouting with this thing, but there is another consideration. And I will see if it comes up while we explore here. There are so many anomalies in this region, it's crazy. Also, our hero has gained some XP. We're going to push up the range tree first, I think, and then we'll see about the other stuff. I want to get him into position to parlay, since we're going to have that that ability in a moment. Well. So, light blue and green, and there are 3 other players somewhere. Alright, we can start to parlay, and also we've finished our Founders Memorial. So it will take 10 pearls to build the altar. And once I've built the altar, I will show you what the pearls are for. Basically, there's some cool stuff that you can do. You can alter the way winter works, which should be exciting for anybody who's played this game. Do I want to go for this? I don't know if there's a Wild Walker player in the game yet, and I don't really have good intel on what the other players have going in their regions. I don't feel at all certain that I would get it. That said, maybe I don't care. Maybe I still want to do it. Given that we are able to build districts twice as frequently, provided, of course, that we can afford the cost in pearls. Again, it does cost pearls to build our districts. I think that we do want to try to do a snake shape for our capital city. It'll allow us to generate a lot of extra approval once we get it going. So if we're going to be generating a snake shape, we have to figure out. I think we should head down in this direction. It would be, look at all this food will help us generate a large population. And then when we get down here, we'll be able to harvest the extra science. Alright. I don't know for sure that we're going to get this, but we're going to try for it. If it doesn't work out, it wouldn't be the end of the world. So are there any... It looks like our opening region didn't have any luxury resources. Actually, it looks like Enolia here also may not. So Skyfins have 8 movement and they fly, which is pretty nuts. Man, there are so many anomalies here. Hernas, the tribe leader wants proof that you are a reliable ally. Kidnapped brothers somewhere in Rovode. Locate the right Delver's village and destroy it. Well, we know where Rovode is, and it looks like this is the village. We can totally do that. We can absolutely do that. Delvers aren't really that great at fighting anyway. Let's see about our home. We have to bring them glass steel, quite a bit of glass steel. Oh wow, our starting region didn't have any strategic resources either. But Enolia has both glass steel and titanium. Okay, this is maybe not a good idea because I think we're going to have to get a settler. If we fail to capture Enolia, I will be real sad. Our empire happiness may struggle for a couple of turns in the early game here while we're getting everything set up. Another reason, by the way, that it's important to spread out. I know that I've already mentioned, if you get a lot of quests, sometimes you can end up with a lot of free resources from that. It's important to scout high-value settling locations. The other thing is searching ruins frequently ends up giving you a lot of dust. The amount of dust you get from searching every ruin in your home region and the surrounding regions. Really, the value of that is not to be underestimated. Oh, I suppose we should be researching something, shouldn't we? I think it's got to be the mill foundry. Production is really, really important to a young city. If your city is allowed to grow, eventually... Alright, we gotta get that guy to somewhere safe. Okay, Roving Clans. Roving Clans in the light blue. That's kind of a good thing. Roving Clans, well, first of all, one thing that's really important to know when you're dealing with the Roving Clans is that they cannot declare war on you. Valuable intel. An AI that cannot declare war on you is a whole different set of strategic considerations from one that can. It doesn't mean that we're just free to abuse them however we want. There are certainly things they can still do to us. In particular, they have the ability to make it so that we can't buy from the marketplace, which means that we will have no realistic way of getting heroes. We're going to try to come explore this region. Hopefully, those green dudes will not chase us very much. So I want to let one more citizen be born, and then I'm going to move them all onto industry. Just try to force this out as quickly as possible. Obviously, 19 turns is an unacceptably long time. Centaurs. Of course, we saw the boss last game. We saw most of the minor factions last game. It's unlikely that we'll be seeing too much new in the way of minor factions. So to pacify the boss in Tychest, we have to prove that we are not merely a belligerent warmonger. No influence into the military ministry, and at least one level in economy and population. And of course, at least one level means one level, because we're not going to have anywhere near enough influence to do anything else. Alright, I think that we are going to try to bring down this Delver's village quickly. They're going to spawn their first military units somewhere around turn 10. It would be cool if we destroyed the village before that happens. I think our hero plus a seeker with backup from the Skyfin should be able to handle two Delvers. Two Delver dredges. These guys have 2 move? Alright. Shifting charge. Minus 10% attack on your target per movement point spent in light form. Minus 10% defense on your target per movement point spent in dark form. So right now, attacking people makes them hit for less. I think I'm fine with this initial spacing. Now remember, because of the way that shifting Nova works, we want to try to keep our ranged hero adjacent to our melee units. Also, the Skyfin has shifting awe. +1 morale to friendly target and friendly targets or friendly units adjacent to the target in light form, or -1 morale to an opponent target and -1 morale to adjacent targets in dark form. I don't know how badly we really need that buff. I think it might be better for this guy just to attack. Oh, sadly our hero went first. I was really hoping that would be the other way around, and I didn't bother to look. Wow. That was quite a series of values that occurred there. No, let's keep focusing on the one that's actually dangerous, shall we? Or the one that's injured. Actually, do I want to... Yeah, let's have him just kind of kite around. These things have circular attack, so we don't really want to let one of them get adjacent to both our hero and our... Man, this has gone really poorly. We're going to lose this Seeker. But we're not going to lose this Seeker so badly that I'm going to just let these Delvers dictate the pace of the battle. Okay, he has 3 range. He can afford to keep moving. I'm gonna let the Skyfin buff our hero a little bit here. He could use the morale. Alright, he was stunned that turn, unfortunately. Delvers do have stun too. And we failed to destroy the city. Or just failed to destroy the village within turn limit. That's a little embarrassing. These Delvers are a little tougher than I was hoping. Of course, we're going to keep trying. Should be a pretty easy fight now that there's only one of them and he's injured. Okay. Easy enough. Alright, and now we've pacified the Hernas before they were able to spawn any units. Yeah, we gotta get this region. Also, I totally spaced on doing this thing. Alright. It would be 9 turns. This is going to give us +6. So it's going to 25% extra, or rather 33% extra industry. Right, +6 +15% should be in the neighborhood. Yeah. Is this going to be faster? I think so. Yeah, this should complete the museum in fewer turns than just waiting for the 9 turns to end, I think. Or it's going to be very close. Very similar. There are not really a lot of luxury resources around here, which is making it difficult for me to show off the full magic of the Skyfin, who has a really cool ability that you can only use when you are standing on a luxury resource tile. You can believe it. That's super, super neat. Actually, does it... I don't know for sure that it doesn't work on strategics. I only saw it on luxuries, but I only tried it on luxuries as well. No, it totally works on strategics. This is crazy. So, aspirate. The unit automatically aspirates resources when located on the resource deposit, gaining 3 XP per turn, providing an approval bonus to the region's city, and sharing the unit's vision with the region's owner. What it also doesn't say, what it doesn't say that it is also doing, is the way I'm trying to, the idea I'm trying to express, is that it's harvesting that resource for me. So the reason it gives sharing the unit's vision with the region's owner is that if somebody is aspirating a thing in your region, you get to know about it. Because maybe you would like to take over those resources instead of them stealing them. You cannot aspirate on a resource that has an extractor. Or at least I didn't seem to be able to in the game where I tried it. So You can defend yourself from getting from your enemies taking your resources by just building an extractor, making sure that you yourself are getting those resources. Oh, I suppose, yes, research. So we will want to get our alchemist furnace going, but I think we maybe want to research public library first. Get our science engine in gear. Alright. So yeah, you can see we have mined a titanium. We're getting 1.5 titanium from our Skyfin aspirating that land. Also, this guy is just following us, and he so desperately wants to kill us. He's weirdly obsessed. So we're going to ooh, spices. There's more spices up here. So the west side of this map is a little luxury heavy, in the sense that it has any luxuries at all. We should change our pin here to our faction quest. I'd like to try to remember that I'm doing this. We have to go back to the village, the Free Our People village. Wait, this isn't the Free Our People quest. Am I thinking of the wrong thing entirely? Complete. No. Yeah, we have to return to the Herna village. I don't know why I was thinking that was the Silix. I totally said even earlier. So we should be able to... Oh, you know what? This isn't the right village. We have to do it at the one where we got the quest. Gotta make sure these guys are actually pacified before the spawn. There we go. Pacification. Big fat lot of glass steel. Okay, so 6 turns. That's annoying. Well, we were not paying enough attention to our seeker to move him at the beginning of the turn. And green has aggressively murdered one of our units in the open. It's a pretty crappy thing to do. We're going to take... Are we? I like 20% bonus science an awful lot. In the early game especially, where science is like a really important part of your civilization's engine. But we'll get a pacification if we do economy and population. Which tribe is that? The Bos in Tychust. Alright. The computer is really shitty about attacking your units just to attack them in the early game. Very unfriendly. If a player did that to me, I would hold a serious grudge. They would be on my shit list for the rest of that game. To pacify these Silix, we have to give them 10 glass steel. Well, we got a surplus. Pacification is good. Keeping them from spawning is good. Tychust. I think we're going to take the economy and population thing to pacify Tychust. This will mean that we have very little to fear from neutral armies in the early game. And that can be a real problem. If you don't pacify your nearby regions and the regions that you intend to conquer, should be given some particular priority there. If you don't get that going in the early game, you can have a really rough sort of late early game when all of the horrible neutral enemies start spawning and marauding and laying siege to your cities. Right, some other empire has reached Science Era 2. We pacified these guys, but apparently not quite fast enough to keep them from spawning, which is a little ridiculous. How many techs ahead of us is that person? Many. Let's see here. Age 2's legendaries are... Be the first to earn 2,000 influence. Have earned 2,000 total influence to get a trade route output bonus. Be the first to attack and defeat at least 10 armies of other empires in order to get a piece of equipment that gives a free counter to your heroes. And then, of course, you have your industrial megapole, which is an incredibly powerful building. We really want to get... I'm going to queue up Alchemist Furnace next so we can harvest strategics. We'd really like to get that megapole. It's very helpful. We're going to have a little bit more of a look around with our hero army here. I'm curious what this region up above us looks like. And you just mine us some titanium, huh? We are in a little bit of financial trouble, I'm sure you've noticed. These guys are being super aggressive and chasing us down. I really, really don't want to lose my Skyfin. So we're just going to embark. You cannot be attacked while you're embarked. I'm going to poke my head in here. Wait. Oh, this is Tychus still. There's a narrow little one-hex bridge. That's very strange. I don't think I've ever seen a region generate quite so long and thin. Alright, so these guys are just paying us a compliment. They appreciate the way we're doing things. The fact that we haven't started a war before turn 12 seems to have rubbed them the right way. So we're devoting an awful lot of time to this thing in the early game, and I really, really hope that works out. Because it's totally possible that I'm just crippling myself by doing this. But you know what I like? Legendary buildings. So I'd really love to be getting the resources necessary for my megapole here. And in fact, we have lost Enolia. At least they settled the city in the right place. I get very frustrated with 4X AI. In particular, Civ 5's AI does this all the time. They settle an area, mostly to keep you out of it, it seems like, and they put the city down in just an asinine location when there's a really good, really ripe location only like 2 or 3 tiles away. The Endless Legend AI usually is quite a bit better about that. Yep, you know what? We're just going to keep pushing for this. Alright. The dark season has begun. Classic. In winter, life and movement are more difficult, so pretty standard winter, first winter. We have enough spices and enough wine to use them. I think we really do want to pop these luxury boosters that we're getting from quests and stuff, because we'd like to try to get to the legendary quest. We'd like to be the first person to pop 4. Let's see what this looks like. Maybe I can safely aspirate this titanium. And if we zoom in here, you can see that our units are now in their dark mode. All of the white on their character model has been replaced with black. They have a different portrait now. Very scary. Extra movement, extra attack. Alright. Well, we've got our museum. So, I need to build the altar for my faction quest. We also really need a settler. Alright. Let's build the altar here. The reason I built it there instead of anywhere else is that the altar of Auriga gives plus approval, plus food, and plus influence, and I want to get it surrounded quickly too. The next thing we're going to, the way we're going to expand the city from here is district, district, district. Those will be the next 3 builds, and that'll make both of these spaces level 2. This one, or this one, may end up being the industrial megapole if we're lucky. I don't know if we're that lucky. We'll see. We're going to keep our hero army right here, because the settler is going to join them in a moment. Unfortunate. We lost access to winter. Alright. The Roving Clans are very frequently going to want to make peace with you. We're going to accept. They like trade, which means they like peace, because you cannot trade with somebody while you are at Cold War with them. At least not right away. You have to research a thing for that. Now, the question is, where would we build a city in Tykest? By the way, these glowing circles on our map represent pearl clusters. Again, we can see these on any space that we've explored, thanks to our racial ability. This actually isn't a terrible location, although it means the city can't be expanded very much. What else do we have in the way of anomalies? There's one down here. And this is right next to the spice, which is worth an extra resource point. And then, of course, there's one right here, right next to the titanium, which has an extra resource point on it. This is actually a pretty good location, except that the city produces absolutely no dust. That said, we don't actually have a lot of choices inside of this region that will award us with dust. So I think we may just be settling right here. Wait, that's not even the right army. I'm still very annoyed by this, and in fact, we may take Enolia back by force at some point. I'm okay leaving it for now. Alright, our alchemist furnace is done. That's great. That will help us get our resources even faster. Not that I don't love watching the Skyfin slowly draw resources up out of the ground. But I do not think that I want that to be the way of things. You'll notice 3 pacified villages equals 3 free population. Pretty great. Alright, yeah. We need to get our sources of glass steel going. Alright, and now I think it's time to, I know there's a source of pearls over here, but this is really inconvenient for our hero to get to because it's so far away from all the other sources of pearls. Walking over here is going to take, like, 3 turns, and then walking back is going to be 3 turns, and then I gotta still go up there before I actually get any pearls. So we're just going to head this way. If you mouse over the space, you can see this is 13 pearls on it. That's quite a large number for a pearl deposit in my admittedly limited experience. 2 is a little bit more like what I'm used to seeing. Sometimes you get these big, fancy-looking pearl caches. Okay, out of curiosity, Empire approval, 88% with a wine booster running. It's not that good. Alright, what else do we need? We've been running at a dust deficit the entire game. Our supply is going to run out, and it's going to run out soon. So we need to make sure that we're prepared to deal with that eventuality. Alright, we've constructed our altar. To receive 80 dust would buy us some time. We are ready to step out and make our place in this world. We shall be the guardians, protectors, and champions of Mother Auriga. And when she beheld the light and the veil, Auriga brought us forth, the chosen, who lived within both worlds and changed between them, and she called us the Allayi. Now that our altar has been founded and our faith renewed, we shall begin to impose the will of Auriga. Though our cause is just and we are her chosen, we will still remain humble. There is much to learn, and with knowledge comes strength. Strength and knowledge will both be necessary if we are to defeat the tools and lackeys of the profaners and save Mother Auriga. We do not fear conflict. Rather, we will revel in the test of our faith. And those who dare to challenge us will understand why the wolves live in fear of the shepherds. Reach a fervent level of approval across the Empire for a big free titanium boost. And we got beat to the wine. That's a shame. That was going to be a really good way of making sure we got to fervent. As it is, I think we're actually going to have some trouble with that. These guys give plus food. And we have 3 of their villages. We're going to assimilate that. Plus 3 food. Alright. This plan hasn't changed. I still want to go and get pearls. Darka needs to do something. How about creating a library? We'll do this. I know that a citizen's going to be born in 1 turn in either case, but this way we'll add more food to the stockpile beyond that, I believe. It's possible that I should just be building seekers instead. That's what I have to say about that. We'll get there. We'll get there on the additional military units. Alright. We do need to do that right now, probably. We've just kind of run out of useful things to build. Yep, all of our boosters have ended. Our approval rating is now in the dumpster. I think at this juncture... Oh, wait. If I hadn't assimilated, if I had been counting, I would have had enough influence to do an empire plan there. I would have done plus science, by the way. Alright, 16 pearls. So now that we have a bunch of pearls and we have our altar set up, you can click on the pearls thing and it shows you this. So, first of all, you can see the list of effects that are going to be brought by the winter season. Upcoming winter effect. You can pray, which costs pearls, to add effects to winter. Minus 25% dust on cities, minus 10% health regen on Empire. So by praying, we're going to pray for this. Alright, I just spent all of our pearls, but this would be real bad for us. This I don't care about so much. So, by expending pearls to pray, you can affect the way winter comes down. And I think this is a really important thing. Winter as interesting as it is to have to build around the idea of winter, not knowing what's going to come next, but knowing that the next winter is going to be a little harsher, a little worse than the last. You could sometimes have a winter where an effect came up that was just totally crippling to you and wasn't that bad for everybody else, and there wouldn't be anything you could do about it. You just have to suffer through. That kind of variance is cool in one sense, in the sense of it presenting a challenge. It's not cool in another sense, which is that it can cause you to lose the game even if you're playing well. I firmly believe that good play should be rewarded. I'm sure most game designers also believe that. It's just tricky to add the kind of richness that you get in an experience from having a variance while maintaining that pure whoever plays the best always wins sort of gameplay. So I really appreciate that they've done this. They've given us a way now to employ some kind of skill. We can choose to devote resources to pearl hunting and then affect the winter by using pearls to prevent ourselves from getting horribly screwed. The other thing we can do with pearls is we can unlock blessings. We can pay, for example, in this case, 15 or 10 pearls. You can see it at the top of this description to unlock defensive towers, the Tower of Truth, which get built on the Watchtower foundations and have some defensive effect. Or we could spend 10 pearls to unlock this, the ability to create stockpiles with pearls. Or this, the ability to create this cool building that provides immunity to winter vision penalties for 10 pearls, and then 10 pearls to build it. The cost at the bottom is to build the building that you're unlocking. So these are known as blessings. Another thing about the Allayi is that they have some unique blessings. There are some of these things that only the Allayi have. I don't actually know which ones those are because I have not played any of the other races with the expansion yet. But that's something to think about as we continue to gather pearls. And then, of course, we also need to stockpile pearls for the building of our city districts. Alright, let's go get more pearls. Where's the next... This one over here is pretty close. We'll head to that one next. And unfortunately, we have to go without an Empire plan because I can't think ahead before clicking on things. I'm a little embarrassed, I'm not going to lie. Alright, we have more than enough titanium. Although at this point we're several turns into this second era and probably the titanium is no longer the thing that's going to keep us from building this this legendary building. You'll notice down here, pearls do also spawn in water spaces, so that's another reason that starting with the shipyard is really powerful. But since we now have enough titanium to build our legendary building, I think we're going to run you over here and have you start gathering spices instead. Oh, and there's 7 pearls. We'll let the Skyfin pick those up. He's out of moves right now. We'll let the Skyfin pick those up to take advantage of his capacity that makes him better at getting pearls. We still have to continue the hunt. Alright, we've got a couple more options for the city now. Let's get those built. You probably don't need all of these people focused on industry anymore. Why don't you go ahead and have some kids? And we'll start a new research. We don't really need the open pit mine right now. We don't have access to a lot of luxuries, and the Skyfin can gather one thing. Cultivation is pretty good, so it's an important one. We may also really want to focus hard on the plus approval line of buildings, especially if we're trying to get our approval briefly to fervent. Let's make sure everyone can eat first. Then we'll do that other thing. Oh, actually, you know what? I think I'm going to make this the last turn. The video has gone on a little bit now. So, free pearls. Get back over here and keep harvesting spices. Need an empire mint from this city too. That should really, really help with our dust problem. Get some more pearls. One thing I do think is interesting that I want to make note of is armor made of pearl and accessories made of pearl. I'm not 100% sure what those look like, but I think we are going to want to check those out. Not right now, even though I do have the pearls necessary to unlock one. Yes, I say yes to peace between us. That's what I say. I love a nice, lucrative peace. Oh, I was going to save the game there at the end of that turn and stop playing. Well, now we're doing it at the end of this turn. Oh, a common friend indicates mutual interest. Okay, this is actually pretty nice. If we can keep sort of a power block going between light blue and us and red, that'll lead to a lot of value for all three of us. Especially if we can run good trade routes from one to the other. Where is... I actually still don't know where the Draken player is. The only reason we can talk is that he's Draken. He's aware of our starting location. We want to make sure that we have enough resources for our capital to keep growing. Well, you know what we need to research? Mercenary market. We want very badly to buy heroes to put into our towns as governors, and we probably want to do that sooner rather than later, both because the cost escalates over time, and because if the Roving Clans turn their opinion of us around and decide that we need to be banned from the marketplace, I'd like to already have a whole bunch of heroes in place. I don't want to get stuck only having access to the one guy who's trying to command our armies. Oh, I suppose I could run over here and grab... This is only one pearl. This is only two. Oh, actually, I was going to come over here and try to scout it and make sure that I understand where the best place for a city is, but actually it's already scouted. It's just that small. Well, this time I'm remembering this is where we're going to call it end of turn 23. This is the current known world. We can see that there are at least 3 provinces in the light blue country. I'd really like to take over Weichsel, maybe Weichsel. I'd really like to take this over, get us to 3, and then we'll see about war or traveling across the ocean to acquire more territory when it's appropriate. But I'm really nervous about my expansion disapproval. I don't know. We'll have to think about it. The fact is, we're running an empire approval value of just barely positive. 0%. 0% extra resources. So I'm very nervous about expanding until we get that under control. Hopefully, we'll be able to build our sewer system soon, and maybe they'll solve most of the problem. No, they won't. They'll solve part of the problem, not most of the problem. It's only 10 approval, I think. Is that right? Oh, no, it is 20 approval. Also, I don't actually have them researching. Oh, when we finish, our next research will be in Age 2. I think I still want these, though. That's how bad our approval is right now. Alright, so come back next time when we try to assuage the fears and hates of our people by giving them indoor plumbing. and contemplate violence against our so far quite friendly neighbors. And we'll see you then.